Surveillance capitalism is the great lie of our time. A system that parades itself as progress while quietly constructing the architecture of control. We are told it is good for us, that it makes life easier, safer, more convenient. Every curated playlist, every predictive text, every ad that seems to know our desires before we do is framed as evidence of benevolence. But this story is a mask, and behind it lies the machinery of exploitation. Surveillance capitalism is not a neutral innovation. It is a business model built on extraction, stripping our thoughts, choices, and behaviors until nothing is left but raw material for profit. It does not merely record our lives. It reshapes them, narrowing what we see, guiding what we believe, and nudging what we decide. It tells us we are free while scripting the very boundaries of our freedom. The claim that this system is good for us is not just false. It is propaganda, designed to keep us docile as the walls of control close in. The promise of convenience. Surveillance capitalism has sold itself as the gospel of efficiency, the benevolent hand guiding us toward a smoother, easier life. Every tailored recommendation, every predictive search result, every targeted ad is presented as proof that the system knows us better than we know ourselves. What was once marketed as innovation is now a doctrine. The future will be personalized, frictionless, and endlessly optimized, all thanks to the quiet siphoning of our private lives into corporate servers. But beneath this polished narrative lies the truth. Convenience is not a gift, it is a bribe. The promise of personalization is nothing more than the bait used to normalize constant surveillance. Every click, every pause, every purchase is harvested and repackaged, not to serve us, but to serve the interests of those who profit from control. What appears as progress is in fact predation. Surveillance capitalism thrives by training us to mistake manipulation for service, to accept exploitation as comfort, to believe that being watched is the same as being cared for. Data as the new currency. In the world of surveillance capitalism, data has replaced gold, oil, and labor as the most coveted resource. Our daily lives, what we search, where we go, how we move, who we speak to, are mined relentlessly and transformed into streams of information that can be bought, sold, and weaponized. This is not a transaction we agreed to. It is extraction, a colonization of the private self carried out under the guise of innovation. The narrative insists that data is harmless, just numbers on a screen, but in reality it is the blueprint of our existence. It reveals not only what we do, but what we are likely to do next. Corporations treat this predictive power as capital, auctioning off our future choices to the highest bidder. And like any system of extraction, the rewards flow upward, enriching a handful of monopolies, while the rest of us surrender autonomy without even realizing it. What was once private life has been redefined as raw material, plundered and commodified to feed a machine that exists only to tighten its grip. Behavior shaping, not just monitoring. Surveillance capitalism does not stop at observation. It is not content to record what we do. Its true power lies in shaping what we will do. Algorithms are not passive mirrors of human preference. They are instruments of influence, engineered to guide attention, to nudge behavior, to tilt decisions toward outcomes that serve corporate or political interests. The feed you scroll is not a reflection of your choices, but a curated environment designed to capture and hold you. What appears as spontaneous discovery is in fact a carefully managed funnel, steering you toward purchases, beliefs, and identities that align with profit. The logic of this system is simple. Prediction becomes more valuable when it is guaranteed, and the easiest way to guarantee behavior is to control it. In this way, surveillance capitalism transforms from a system of monitoring into a system of conditioning. The illusion of choice remains intact, but beneath it lies a constant manipulation that narrows freedom into a series of profitable responses. Erosion of privacy. The defenders of surveillance capitalism insist that privacy is outdated, a relic of another era. They tell us that in a connected world, sharing is the new norm and secrecy is unnecessary. This rhetoric is not liberation, it is disarmament. By convincing us that privacy no longer matters, the system strips away one of the last defenses against intrusion and control. Every app, every platform, every device demands access. Location, contacts, conversations, biometrics, all are absorbed into databases that grow larger and more invasive with each passing moment. What was once intimate has been transformed into information, and what was once information has been transformed into leverage. Governments and corporations exploit the same infrastructure, blurring the line between commercial surveillance and state surveillance until they are indistinguishable. The constant observation does not simply monitor us, it reshapes us. People begin to act differently when they know they are being watched, censoring themselves, curating themselves, surrendering freedom in exchange for the illusion of safety. In this way, surveillance capitalism erodes privacy not only as a right, but as a habit, until life without an audience becomes unthinkable. Entrenching power structures. Surveillance capitalism is not simply a business model. It is an instrument for consolidating power. The vast archives of personal data collected by corporations do not remain in private hands alone. They merge with the interests of governments, law enforcement, and intelligence agencies, creating a seamless web of control. Predictive policing, immigration tracking, political profiling, all of it relies on the same pipelines of harvested information. The result is a system that strengthens the already powerful while rendering ordinary people increasingly vulnerable. This is not accidental. Surveillance capitalism flourishes precisely because it serves the needs of entrenched elites. It offers corporations unprecedented influence over markets and consumers, while offering states unprecedented tools of governance and repression. Each reinforces the other. The concentration of data becomes the concentration of power, and once that power is secured, it does not loosen its grip. Dissent becomes riskier, resistance becomes visible, and inequality becomes permanent. Far from leveling society, surveillance capitalism deepens its hierarchies, ensuring that those who already rule will rule more completely. Manufactured consent through narrative control. Surveillance capitalism does not merely catalog our choices, it curates the very reality in which those choices are made. Search engines, news feeds, and recommendation systems act as filters that decide what is visible and what is hidden. The result is a manufactured reality in which consent is engineered, not freely given. What people see becomes what they believe, and what they believe becomes what they consent to. This is not a marketplace of ideas. It is a controlled environment where information is ranked, suppressed, or amplified according to interests that remain invisible to those being manipulated. Outrage is rewarded because it keeps us engaged. Dissent is contained because it is profitable to let it simmer, but dangerous to let it spread. In this system, public opinion is not formed through debate, but through algorithmic design. The masses are guided not with force, but with suggestion, nudged toward conclusions that feel natural, while in truth they have been orchestrated. Consent is no longer a matter of will, but a product of code. Resistance becomes co-opted. Even opposition is absorbed into the machinery of surveillance capitalism. Acts of defiance, slogans of protest, and symbols of resistance are swiftly commodified, turned into data points to refine algorithms, or repackaged as products to be sold back to the very people who created them. The system does not fear rebellion, it feeds on it. Every angry post, every viral hashtag, every burst of outrage becomes another opportunity to capture attention, another chance to deepen surveillance, another stream of profit. This dynamic ensures that dissent never escapes the boundaries of profitability. Activism becomes a brand, protest becomes aesthetic, and the language of liberation is folded neatly into marketing campaigns. Resistance is allowed, but only in forms that can be measured, monetized, and contained. In this way, surveillance capitalism neutralizes its critics, converting opposition into fuel. The very tools people use to resist become the same tools that bind them, ensuring that the cycle of control remains unbroken. The illusion of choice. Surveillance capitalism insists that we are empowered, that we are freer than ever because every product, every service, every experience can be tailored to our desires. But this freedom is a performance, carefully staged to mask its opposite. The choices offered are never truly our own. They are pre-selected, filtered, and narrowed by algorithms that determine what is visible and what remains unseen. The menu feels vast, but it is a menu written by someone else. This illusion is essential to the system's survival. If people believed they had no choice, they might resist. By convincing us that personalization equals freedom, surveillance capitalism disguises captivity as liberation. Autonomy is reduced to the toggling of preferences inside a system that was built to exploit us. We are told we are consumers, but in truth, we are the product. Our choices do not define us. They define the profit margins of those who orchestrate them. The freedom we are promised is an illusion, and the cage we inhabit is invisible precisely because it feels comfortable. The defenders of surveillance capitalism insist that it is progress, that it is good for us, that the sacrifices we make in privacy and autonomy are a small price to pay for convenience and connection. This is the lie that sustains the system. The reality is far darker. Surveillance capitalism is not designed to empower the individual. It is designed to extract, to manipulate, and to entrench power in the hands of those who already hold it. What appears as service is in truth exploitation. What appears as freedom is in truth conditioning. What appears as choice is in truth control. The promise that this system is good for us is propaganda, a myth carefully constructed to keep us compliant while the architecture of control grows around us. To accept surveillance capitalism is to accept a future where every thought, every act, every desire is filtered through the logic of profit and power. It will not simply predict what we do. It will decide who we are. Subscribe so this critique doesn't get lost in the very system it warns about. Staying connected ensures the algorithm keeps feeding you the conversations it would rather you forget. Till next time.